Good morning, everyone. Shruti, Barsha, Kailash. Welcome to the class. Am I audible to each one of you? Do let me know if I am audible. Please comment in the comment section. And do let me know if the slide is visible. Good morning, everyone. So, this is our crash course where we are going to focus on upcoming exam. So, the notification is already out. Your exam would be between 22nd August and September, right? So, you have enough time to prepare yourself again. Fine. So what we are going to study in this crash course is all those topic which is very important from the exam point of view, from where the questions are being asked. So I would be helping you out to understand those topics and do few MCQs related to it, so that you would get an idea what kind of questions are asked in exam, right? Okay. So we have unit number 1, principles and practices of management. We are going to do 2 or 3 classes for this particular unit. Uh, Unit number 1, principles and practices of management. 1 to 2 questions. 1 to 2 questions from this only principles and practices of management. The question are short. One would be like you would be asked author. So if I talk about this time for the 18th June, there were around 3 questions specifically. 3 questions. One was related to the scientific management. 2 were from the Mary Parker's Fellowed contribution. So these were from principles and practices of management. Then functions of management, which is a part of unit 1 only. From that also, okay, now there was not actually 3, there were 4 questions. There was one, match the following also. Match the following author and their contribution, or I believe, yeah, contribution. So totally 4 questions only from principles and practices of management. Imagine if you do this question, this unit, this part, principles and practices of management, 3 to 4 questions are short, you would be getting correct, right? So there can be 3 to 4 questions, and then 2 questions from functions of management, which is the another part. Now from functions of management, there was a question related to line staff and line authority and the staff authority. So this was the question associated with the functions of management. So without any delay, let's start the session. Another. So now, what actually we studied in principles and practices of management is how the terminology management came into the existence, how evolution of these principles and the practices of management came into existence. So if I talk about evolution, the evolution of management theory, that can be bifurcated into the different era, starting from 1800, which is called as pre-classical school, 1900 classical school, 1930 neoclassical, and 1950 contemporary, which is also called as modern schools of management. So further, this pre-classical and classical, I bifurcated as pre-scientific management. So F.W. Taylor is the one who is associated with the scientific management, who came up with the thought process. What do you mean by scientific management? And hence, he is known as father of scientific management. So before this scientific management came into the existence, there was a pre-scientific management era. Now you need to remember the authors. Why this chart is important? Now there can be a question for you in exam. Which of the following author belong to classical schools of management? Or which of the following author belong to neoclassical era of the management. So you need to know it very clearly, the name of the authors, who are belonging to classical, who are neoclassical, and so on. Is this clear to everyone? So we started long back 1800. Now why 1800 only? Actually, it was Robert Owen. Initially, it was Robert Owen who is considered to be the person actually started thinking about the welfare, about managing the people. He was concentrated on, focused on managing the people, and hence he is known as the father of the personal management or the father of the welfare movement. So Robert Owen, before F.W. Taylor came into the picture, he was the one who came up with the thought process of managing the people through the welfare. So now 1800 was the time or was the century when there was industrial evolution. Industries started growing. Europeans came up with the industries. In India, it was 19th century by which industries were developed in our country. So 1800, before India was under the industry, 1800 was the time period when industries have evolved and developed. Now, when these industries came into the existence, there was exploitation, there was the issues related to wages, there was issues related to the payment, there was issues related to money, there was issues related to working conditions, and so on. So number of the authors came up with their strategy, their theory to manage these people, avoid the conflict, to maintain the harmony, to think about the benefit of employee and employer. The authors came up with their management theories. Is this clear? Up till here, is that clear to everyone? Shruti, Barsha, Kailash, and Diksha, is that clear to everyone? What I'm trying to say here is, so it was 1800, 18th century when industrial revolution took place and industries developed. As industries developed, it was required that there should be a, you can say, management of the people. Now, this chart, what you are going to remember here, that who are the people from pre-classical, classical, neoclassical, contemporary, what is pre-scientific, what is scientific, what is science. Now what is this scientific? Why this it here both the things are scientific management? I will give you the reason what does it mean here. For now, let's move. Then we had modern, which is called as post scientific. This era is also called as human relation or human resource management. Now, again, pre-scientific era, we have the authors who belong. Now, scientific, what is scientific era? See, F.W. Taylor was the one who came up with the thought that if you want to increase the productivity of an employee, you need to focus on increasing the efficiency of an employee. And how a labor will be able to increase the productivity, or can we have the increased efficiency? So F.W. Taylor said that there should be a scientific method. When we say scientific management, science says that everything has a proper step, proper process of doing it. Due to the science, we know what is to be done, how it is to be done, and what is expected as in result. This is what the science says. So Taylor said that for even for the industries, even for any labor, either skilled, unskilled, specifically he focused on the shop floor level, engineers level. So he said that if there is any work, any job, this job should be scientifically designed. Means you should know that what are the responsibility in this job, who would be responsible for doing this job, and how this job would be done. And if all these three are followed, what is the expected result? So what did F.W. Taylor said? that instead of paying everyone equal, he said, instead of, first he said bring about the scientific method step by step. Another, he said that pay the employees basis of their efficiency, basis of the work they are doing. So if anyone is given a target of 100, he is doing only 90, he should be paid for 90. Anyone who does 110, he should be paid extra. Reason, he have done more than the standard. So he said you should pay the employee as per their efficiency. That is your scientific era of F.W. Taylor. But before the scientific era, there were the authors who studied the subject or discipline, how to manage the people. Among that, we have Robert Owen, who is known as the father of the personal management, because he was the one who did a experiment at New Lanark and came in with the existence with the welfare, about the welfare movement. So he is also associated with the welfare movement. Charles Babbage, Henry Towney, Hugo Musterberg is known as father of industrial psychology. Highly important, you need to know that he is the father of industrial psychology. Monet and Riley, Gulick and Urwig, they all are the one who actually, before FW or before people started understanding that yes, there can be a proper method, there can be a proper definition of the job, before they could understand scientific method, there were the people who focused on managing the people or the labor in the different way. ठीक है, इसे हम कहते हैं प्री साइंटिफिक एरा. Is this clear to everyone? Students, is this clear? Now, okay, fine. So now let's quickly study what contribution they have given. Why? Because there can be a question from where you would be asked about the contribution of the authors, right? So let me present a slide for you. Okay, is this slide visible? Quickly let me know if it is visible. Can you see the pre-scientific era contribution? Okay. So this notes would be is already shared in the group, in the course. It's already provided to you. You have to go through this handwritten notes. Highly important. Many questions will directly appear from this. Now, Robert Owen. So what did Robert Owen do? He is known as father of welfare movement. This is what you need to know. He is also known as father of modern personal management. He is known for his New Lanark experiment. What was the New Lanark experiment? So he was associated with an industry or with an factory which was located at New Lanark, a place. At this factory or this industry, he recognized that humans are highly important. Labors are highly important. They are asset. You need to treat them properly. You need to provide them breaks. You need to give them facilities if you want to have a proper productivity. So he is called as the father of personal management because he recognized the importance of the human resources. Then he implemented that there should be better working condition. In better working condition, what did he do? He divided the 24 hours of the day into 3 parts. He said there should be 8 hours of labor. Employee or the labor should be able to rest for 8 hours and 8 hours for the recreation, that the personal time or training. He implemented that for the children who are working in the factory, there should be higher minimum working age. Means the age, if it is you are hiring the children at the age of 9 years, no, there should be specifically age decided, higher age where children should be allowed to work. He reduced the working hours to 8 hours and introduced the meals. And this all was nothing but the welfare. He was thinking about the welfare of the labor, right? So this is what about Robert Owen you need to know. Now, moving to the next, Charles Babbage. Charles Babbage has or is the one whose contribution about division of labor is highly known. This is book which is highly asked in exam. PYQ, there are multiple questions being asked in exam that in the match the following regarding the book, right? So what you have to remember in Charles Babbage is he is associated with division of labor. Now, what does division of labor means? It is specialization. So if I am in HR, I should be given a work associated with HR. I have a knowledge of HR, so I should be given a specialized work in HR. Marketing, the person with the marketing knowledge should be given marketing. So there should be a proper division of the labor, that is the work should be allotted basis of specialization. He said that there should be a management and labor cooperation. Cooperatively, the labor and the management need to work. Moving to the next, Henry R. Towney, important. So now, he is known, he is the follower of scientific management, or he can say follower of F.W. Taylor, but he came up with something modern or improvement in scientific management. What did he do? So, F.W. Taylor said that there should be the payment given on the basis of efficiency. Anyone who is able to do 100% target or above 100% should be given 120% of the wages what they are originally getting. One who is doing less than 100%, anything, it can be 60, 70, 80, they should be given only 80%, right? They should be given 80% of the wages. Now, what did Henry Towney said? No, he brought a term called as gain sharing. Gain sharing is like those who are working in a team, everyone should be given an incentive basis of their group productivity. They should, if they are increasing the productivity, who अगर सारे लेबर ने मिलके लास्ट वीक से इस वीक प्रोडक्टिविटी इंक्रीज करी है, तो सभी को गेन शेयरिंग, मतलब सभी में वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होना चाहिए इंसेंटिव. ये हेनरी टाउने ने इंट्रोड्यूस किया. His book you need to know, Evolution of Industrial Management on the Use of Gain Sharing. Moving to the next, Hugo Musterberg. He is known as father of industrial psychology. This is your PYQ already being asked. The book associated is Psychology and Industrial Efficiency. So he again studied the human efficiency. What is psychology? Psychology is thinking. See, I have different thinking process. Another person will have different thinking process. Third person will have different thinking process. So this psychology, he within the industry, how individual psychology is affecting the work when he is an individual. जब वो अकेले काम करता है उसकी psychology क्या होती है? When he is working in a group, how the group is affecting his performance. When he is working in larger group as an organization, how the organization structure, policies are affecting, right? So all this was studied by Hugo Musterberg, and hence he is known as father of industrial psychology. Monet and Riley, these 4 principles of organizing. Now, what do you mean by organizing? Usually people get confused between the term division of labor and organizing. Understand, organizing is associated with the management function. What is organizing? In organizing, division of the, so grouping, basically not division, grouping of activities is done. So HR, if I am dividing a department, or rather you can say departmentalization. Okay, so when I say HR department, grouping all those activities which are associated with an HR into one. Departmentalization of marketing says grouping all the activities into one department called as marketing. This is organizing. And again, in organizing, after deciding the department, after deciding the group, giving or placing the people associated. So let's say in HR department, I have made a position of HR manager. This is what I have done during the grouping. So organizing also means that as an HR manager, what authority he will be having, who would be his subordinate, what would be his chain of command, how he would be reporting, who would be his reporting manager, who would be his junior, what authority he would be giving, what orders. So everything is organizing. Now, what do you mean by division of labor? Division of labor says that in this HR department only, if I have recruitment, if I have training and development, if I have a compensation, basis of specialization, when I am allotting the people, dividing the work on the basis of specialization, that is called as division of labor. Is this clear to everyone? Understood? Students, understood? So the four principles of organizing, what did Munesh said, that when you are departmenting, when you are dividing the group, HR department, marketing, IT department, their work need to be coordinated. You cannot separate them. Scalar process means there should be a clear line of authority explaining who reports to whom. Functional differentiation is nothing but division of labor. The people should be differentiated on the basis of their function. HR department is one function, marketing is another function. There should be clear line and staff authority defined. Line authority is the one who gives the order, makes the policy. Staff is the one who is below the line authority. It is the one who advises the upper or the line authority that how certain work can be done. They help the higher or the line authority to achieve the goals. Clear? Moving to the next. So now that was your what? Scientific era, pre-scientific era. In pre-scientific era, that is what you need to know. Now we will be moving to this scientific management. Before that, let's understand after this, right? So now after this, how, after pre-scientific era, how you can divide, or who is the author who has actually, और who is the one who divided. See, जब हम मैनेजमेंट स्कूल या मैनेजमेंट क्लासिफिकेशन की बात करते हैं, यूजुअली हम तीन अप्रोचेस को पढ़ते हैं, क्लासिकल, नियो क्लासिकल एंड मॉडर्न. तो ये अप्रोच किसने दिए थे? वाई दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट? बिकॉज इवोल्यूशन में क्वेश्चन आता है, सीक्वेंस में लगाने के लिए क्वेश्चन आता है. सो इट वॉज हर्बर्ट जी हिग्स who basically divided the stages of the development of management in classical, neoclassical, modern. Now let me explain you the characteristic of the classical, neoclassical and modern approach. Before that, what all comes under classical? Scientific management given by F.W. Taylor, function administrative of Henry Fayol, functional and administrative, bureaucratic model of Max Weber. This is classical. Neoclassical, human relation movement by Elton, Mayo, Ruthelsberger, 1930, and behavior sciences, A. Maslow, McGregor. Clear? Then comes your modern approach, quantitative, system, contingency. These three, see, there are further division. There are further authors who are associated with scientific management. There are further authors who are associated with classical. More authors like Mary Parker Philott, Chester Bernard, who are associated with neoclassical, basically under human relation. So we are going to study all of them, modern. Other than three, we are going to study them in the detail. Now understand this. This sequence is highly important, that the classical came, you can see 1800 to 1920s. 1900 के अंदर में साइंटिफिक आ गया था, बट उसके पहले we started. हाँ, no, contingency approach and contingency model is same. There is no difference. ठीक है. Now let's understand. Give me a moment. This is further actually divided into, give me a second, I have missed that slide. Let me write for you. Okay. So after this, Barsha, कंटीजेंसी मॉडल गिवन बाय फेडलर, वो लीडरशिप का है, वो आप इसमें मिक्स नहीं करेंगे, मिक्स नहीं करेंगे. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट कंटीजेंसी अप्रोच और कंटीजेंसी मॉडल इन द मैनेजमेंट, इन मैनेजमेंट के अंदर में जब कंटीजेंसी अप्रोच बोलेंगे या मॉडल बोलेंगे, इट्स वन एंड सेम. जब लीडरशिप का क्वेश्चन आएगा, वहां पे जो कंटीजेंसी का मॉडल है वो डिफरेंट है. वहां के ऑथर को फ्रेडलर को, ठीक है, फ्रेडलर को आप इन ऑथर्स से मिक्स नहीं करेंगे. ये मैनेजमेंट का प्रिंसिपल है और वो हमारा लीडरशिप का प्रिंसिपल है. ठीक है. नाउ लेट मी राइट क्लियरली फॉर यू. Just a second. Okay. So now, am I audible? Just now I told you that classical approach, neoclassical model. Now, this classical, the classical approach, this can be within the classical only, there can be two division further. And within this two division, we have the scientific, classical, scientific theory and classical administrative theory. Now understand, classical approach 19, so that was pre-classical 1900. It started in 1900. In scientific, there is only the author basically famous F.W. Taylor. Other than F.W. Taylor, who are the authors associated with scientific theory? Now, what is classical approach? Why classical is called as classical, neoclassical is called as neoclassical, then your modern approach is called as modern or contemporary? Why pre-scientific? Why they are named this way? See, every approach, every era had certain characteristics. What are the characteristics of classical approach? We'll let you know. Before that, Who were the authors associated with the classical scientific theory? Is your Frederick F.W. Taylor, Henry Gantt. These authors are highly important. You need to know Frank and Lenian Gilbert. Then administrative में we have Max Weber who gave you what? Bureaucracy. So Max Weber who gave about bureaucracy. Henry Fayol who is associated with administrative or functions of management, POCC3. POC3 he has given the functions of management. Mary Parker Follett जिससे related अभी आपको question आया था, who has given different leadership style, conflict management style, who has said that power, instead of powering over, you should work on power with distribution of power should be there. And then we have Chester Bernard. They are Chester. Next is Chester Bernard. Now, up till here, is this clear to you, students? Is this clear? Shall we move ahead? Now I would be explaining you the characteristics of this classical theory. ठीक है? Okay. This is the chart which you need to by heart, which will help you to understand that what are the different characteristics of this different approaches and why they are called as classical, why they are neoclassical, and so on. Okay. So now, classical approach or this era of management said that in an organization there should be a formal structure. So classical approach says that every part of organization is a formal in nature. Formal in nature means what? There would be proper rules, there would be proper principles, there would be proper policies, there would be proper well-defined jobs. Everything would be formally defined by upper management. So classical approach, the first characteristic says that organization is the formal organization. What it is? It is the formal organization. Another important characteristic. Classical approach said that there is one best